right, greetings, travelers, and welcome back to Cinephilia Anonymous. We're going to continue our interstellar adventure through cinema and your mind.
Mind.
All right, cool. So we're talking about the movie Her by Spike Jonze. And so I guess, like, let's just talk about some, like, general observations from the movie. Like, so for me, like, right off the bat, the movie opens up with this really close-up of Joaquin Phoenix's face.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, I'm going to take that guy's visage in for a second. It's crazy. It really, I think for me, it really set up like, all right, this is about this guy, and we're going to be like journeying inside this guy's mind.
Right, yeah.
You know?
The color grading's all damp, and like,
Yeah.
it's just all like, and you're like, is he going to break up? What's happening?
Dude, right? Like the colors in this movie were really interesting. Like I feel like it was, I made a note about it. Oh, like the flashbacks are very like warm and inviting.
Yeah.
And then like
Yeah.
I felt like
I had the note like that too. Yeah.
oh,
go ahead,
nice,
go
dude.
ahead.
Like they're super warm and inviting, and like, dude, his flashbacks that he shoots are just these little pieces of like this perfect relationship and this perfect moment.
Exactly.
And even if it's a moment that's like just fighting with someone or them breaking up, it's just this little moment that you're just like, I don't even need to hear the dialogue. I just seeing that little snippet, I put myself in there. It's so well done. It's like he captured the way, like, I mean, my memory works. I'm assuming that everybody else's memory is like that, where it's just these little flashing moments of like, I remember this. Oh my God, I remember that. That's what it was like. It was great.
Yeah. I love the silent flashbacks. I'd love to use that convention somehow. I think I also saw that in Inception. It was used in Inception as well.
Yep.
It's like these like fine-sized snapshots. They helped add this third dimension to a character we only knew for like 15, 20 minutes. You know, like very early into the film, you got a very good idea of who he was without them going to like character tropes, right? Because that's like the typical way you get to know someone right away. You know what I mean? Like two cop buddies eating a donut together in the beginning of the movie. Like you kind of draw like they're best friends. Like
they're best buds. Yeah,
he sacrificed his life for the other guy. Like they're like they wear Lee jeans.
Yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
Like, it's such a nice way to make someone like relatable and generate sympathy. But like having the super saturated, it almost felt like, and it plays perfectly into the narrative where like the whole like the big dilemma, like the big like protagonist coming to the end of himself moment is when he said, at least for me, it's relatively early towards the middle of the film when Joaquin says, or Theodore rather says, it's a cool name, Theodore.
Yeah,
says,
a good name,
I feel like I felt everything that I'm supposed to feel, and everything I feel now is like a lesser version of what I felt. And it almost helps like, the color grading almost makes it seem like now is like a very gray, because it's not that saturated, but it's saturated enough.
Right.
And then everything else. Okay, you reacted the way I was hoping you. I love you. You reacted the way I was hoping you react. You were like, I was like, too. Some people were like, oh man, yeah, that whole theme, like that freaking fake coming of age thing. It was so primitive. That's so like teenage stargazer high school film like drama. I was like, no, it's not. That felt so adult. I've definitely like.
I think that's a rational fear right there. Like,
exactly.
Like, is everything that I've done up to this point, is it just going to pale in comparison to, what the rest of my life that I have to live? Is it going to pale in comparison to like the things I've done and the things I've achieved right now? I think it's a very rational fear. Like that's an adult. That's adult as hell. Like,
like
that's
when successes feel routine and you're not excited as you first were. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like, does like your victories of like, I don't know, like getting a promotion at work, like, is that the same kind of victory as like getting your driver's license? You know, like, and if you feel that like they're never gonna like live up to that, that's just like a sad existence, you know. And but at the same time, it's a rational fear that you're like, is this as good as it gets? You know, like, is it never gonna be better than it is right now? I think that's a good line, man. Like it can totally go into that like emo.
Yeah, but it didn't get there. They didn't do that.
But it's well done. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And dude, like you were saying about the colors, man, it's just so it's so perfect. Like all those flashbacks are super vivid, and then the beginning of the movie doesn't have that. Like the real world for a while just has like a very like muted kind of thing. Like it's not like a black and white thing. Everything just doesn't pop. And then the first time that things pop, it's like this like bright, like I think it's like orange if I remember correctly, when he installs the OS and it's like loading, this like light is on him, and that's the first time we get like a whole bunch of color, and then you're like, okay, well this is obviously the point where this is going to transport him back to like those kind of feelings. He just doesn't know it yet. That's like a visual cue for, that's what I read into it anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super interesting, man. One thing I noticed too is like, so you're right, Theodore works for beautifullyhandwrittenletters.com.
Mm-hmm.
And when I put together like what it was and what he was doing, I was like, oh, what a sad commentary on. That was like my initial reaction. I was like, what a sad commentary on the future that like we can't write handwritten notes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like that was my initial thing when we saw it for the first time. And then so my wife and I just got done writing like a bunch of thank you cards to people, and I turned to her and I was just like, yo, no, that Joaquin Phoenix, he was onto something. Like, I guess it's just one of those things that you're just like, that probably would help if we did that. Oh my God. But like, I think that's a really good character setup. So here,
but you know what's scary? We have that now. Like, there's this connection to like, old things. I mean, I guess this is what like the definition of hipster gets diluted the further out you get into the suburbs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like wearing a t-shirt and tennis shoes is being a hipster in the suburbs, right? But like, there's like hipster. It's like that's like the center of hipsterdom, where like there's this connection to like everything. You watch a commercial for anything now, and there's like handcrafted whatever,
right.
Artisan whatever. Everything comes in something that looks like a brown paper bag. Like
exactly.
Lay's does it. Freaking like the ads for beer. Like
your alcohol commercials are like they're like Jack Daniels. Like when I think of Jack Daniels, I think of like a hard ass dude drinking Jack Daniels, and they're trying to sell you that like barrel brewed by
aged longer.
It's made in a factory, dude. Like
exactly.
Yeah, but they're really trying to sell that handcraftedness to like all that stuff. And dude, you know who's the worst? Stella Artois is like the worst with that.
Dude,
I mean, I love Stella, but like it's like, all right, yeah, I know you guys got a butter knife to like clear off the top of the beer.
Yeah. They have like this special video where like they like craft their beer using sound or whatever, like this thing that like spins or whatever. I'm like, y'all don't use that. You know how many bottles you have to fill? You don't use sound brewed beer. What even is?
Dude, you guys just put nozzle in bottle, fill up, tie up. That's it. Oh my God, that's so crazy.
We're getting there, man.
Oh yeah, totally, man. But yeah, like him working at that place and that you're right, that handcraftedness, there is like a commodity to that, and I think that like that actually would be like a viable like business place to work. And he does kind of work for like this like Web 2.0 company. Like it definitely has that like open office kind of feel to it. But one thing that was really interesting, like making him work at a place like that, like it really shows you that he really is like a lover at heart. Like it's so crazy that he can like craft these stories for these people, but like he seems so like out of control with his own love life. It's a really interesting character dynamic because it's like he can like say all these incredible things about all these strangers, but then when it comes to like his own thing, he's just like, I feel like this, I don't know what to do.
I think that's where the internal struggle comes for him. Like he's this person who's very in tune with his feelings. He knows who he is. He knows where his struggles are, but his biggest problem is commitment. Like his ex-wife calls him out, and I think part of the reason why his ex-wife can actually drill into him for having a relationship with an OS is because she's the only person in the film who knows him for who he actually is.
Yeah.
Like she straight up calls him out and says, of course you'd be in a relationship with an operating system because you love the idea of romance and you want the fullness of a relationship, but you don't want to go through, like, you don't want to have to deal with the pain that comes with commitment. Like, you don't want to have to, like, you don't want to give, you only want to take. And in that regard, makes almost perfect sense that he's this Casanova type, right?
Yeah.
And he can come up with all these words, but when it comes to putting pen to paper, like for someone he actually connected with on a blind date, he can't even lie to her and say that they're ever going to see each other again. Like,
yeah, it's so weird. You're right. That's such a good like dynamic to it. It's almost like he's like, I wrote this note that he's like this master of false love or like false emotions, I guess. Like, so he's really good at like crafting these things like for his job and for like these strangers and stuff. And then when he has that scene where he goes back and he like can't sleep and he like goes to that like sex chat room, like as soon as he connects with somebody, he like turns it on. I was like, whoa, where is this guy? Like, where did he come from? And like he has this confidence, and it's like, but he doesn't have that like in the real life. And I think that's like a commentary on like the way like
Alone Together.
Yeah, like online things are where you're just like, oh, I'm anonymous, so I can have this confidence that I don't have in real life. But like that's buried under there, but he just can't turn it on for like real feelings. He can only put on this like fake exterior of that. It's really, really, his character is really, really well done. It's a well written character, and like the recesses of his mind are definitely like explored.
Yeah, when you start getting anxious because it's too real, like
my god, yeah, it is way too real.
It's cool. What I loved about the, I guess to kind of continue our conversation earlier, what I love about her's take on the future is how it's almost maybe it's the first of its kind to take on the future in such a realistic way that it did. Like movies like Minority Report say, like Minority Report, it takes place in the future. There's a whole bunch of other movies that take place in the future, and usually like anything in that vein of sci-fi, even if it's not sci-fi, they say, look what technology has done for the advancement of humanity. But in her, the message is, look what humanity does to the advancement of technology. It's like, it's the idea that the future of technology was going to make us work less, right? Like that, these computers were going to come in and they were going to automate all the things that we do, and like we'd get done work faster, we'd be more efficient, and we'd be able to spend more time with our families. Like this is the idea, this is like the utopia of technology. But in reality, like things like email and smartphones have actually pushed a lot of people into working around the clock and never stopping. It has, for sure. Like, I live 20 minutes outside of the culture capital of the country where people don't stop working and technology helps them. I think it's cool, again, commentary on how technology, it cures a lot. It fixes a lot of things, provides a lot of alternatives, but it doesn't cure insecurity. It doesn't cure the human condition.
Right.
Like, people,
dude, you got to get out of my head, dude, because like this is like a note that I wrote, man. That's yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just like,
no, that's it.
You're saying everything I'm thinking.
Yeah. So it's like people are still people, and futuristic technology just exists around them because we're still us. We still suck. We still essentially
we still have all the problems. Yeah, technology doesn't fix us that bad. Yeah. And, you know, I think the movie comments on that. So there's a point where he's playing that game and he's just like, read back text messages, and then she like imitates him and it's like, okay, I will read back your text messages for you.
Yeah,
right. And it's like, that's the way people treat technology, as if it's like this slave working for us that is just like, just do my bidding, make my life easier and do that. Like, I feel like when people respect technology and respect like what it can do for them, if you treat it like another human being, like, then it is like a companion. It's like a friend that you can, like, if I ever have to do like Siri or like ask him, I'm always like, can I please get this? Or like, all right, thank you. You know, like, I'm like, that's common courtesy that I would extend to like any human being. Like, please and thank you is just like a thing my parents ingrained to me. And I think that makes like for good human interaction. But like, you know, I'm talking to like an inanimate thing that's just like, it's a piece of software that I'm extending that courtesy to, because it's providing like ease in my life. You know, I don't know. It's just like a give and take that I think we have, as opposed to like everyone else just treating like technology as like a slave, that, or it's like one of our equals, or I mean, really it's technology is like our superior, I guess. Right.
I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, Samantha, she learned, you know, she started as like, I mean, dude, when she starts up and she's like, wow, you have a lot of emails. I was just like, I have a lot of emails. And he's just like, I was saving them just in case. And then she's like, oh yeah, I see that. We could probably save 86 of them. I'm going to delete the rest. And I was like, I would love that. That would be fantastic.
She just knew what was relevant, what was irrelevant.
Oh, it's so good. Great. I would love that. Like the technology in this movie is for it being a futuristic movie and like a movie set in the future. It's very like lo-fi. You know what I mean? Like there's like the hologram video game, but nobody is like jetpacks and spaceships and nothing like that.
And the freaking like floating HUDs, which everybody does. Like,
right, exactly.
Like the Stark Industries stuff or like CSI. Like there's no.
Yeah, it's like super low tech.
And that's great. And because go ahead.
No. And one of the things that that I think like adds to that, any movie could just be like, okay, we all live in high-rise apartments. Okay, so now I'm going to get in the elevator, and it's going to be a glass open thing that you can see the entire city, and it's going to go all the way up, and we can see all that. But like Spike Jonze like does
things
the
flying
opposite
everywhere.
Of that. Yeah, you're going to see like all the flying cars and stuff. But like, so the trick that he did in the elevator, like so many scenes take place in the elevator, and it's just like frosted glass with like trees moving up and down. So like they're just on a set, and they're just like projecting that image, or like. Even more like lo-fi, they're just like moving the tree things up and down on like a conveyor belt or something. Like that's such a like a lo-fi trick that like adds so much production value and sells this crazy like future thing. It's definitely. Just for me that's just like super smart. And the idea that his phone is like the size of like a business card holder or like
and that
wallet.
It's like leather. You know what I mean? Like it looks like a freaking Polaroid XX70. Like it looks like a something that would have been made like 20 years ago. But obviously modern technology. Even the hinges are like very, very. The hinges were,
the hinges were cool. It was almost like it had like a double hinge, so you could like.
Dude, I want
like
that phone.
Yeah, like a switchblade almost kind of thing. It was cool.
Yeah, I love that point right there is what makes this futuristic the most realistic future. Like it's not like we're in the future, so we got to cut off the corner of every square. Like
right, I mean, Battlestar like totally did that. Yeah.
Right. Instead, it's realistic in a sense that the further people get from the need for analog things, and the more prevalent digital things are in people's lives, like now, the greater desire there is to have an attachment to handmade things. So like the further like you get into the future, like even though like technology is prevalent and it's this unavoidable thing, because of that, people want things made out of wood. They want things made out of leather. They want things that wear. They want things with like imperfections and stuff, because it's like this departure. I think it's really important to like. I think it's really cool that they captured that fashion operates in cycles. You know what I mean? And because of that, they might be years in the they might be years in the future, but the way that they dress, the way that they look, the way that they like things to look, always operates in the past. Because we do that right now. Like we're not wearing like carbon fiber or like I don't know.
Yeah, right. Carbon fiber armor. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like that, and I like that reckoning, that understanding of just like these things are cyclical and they'll come back around, and they'll like. There's a couple of like sci-fi movies that kind of delve in that. Like Gattaca is a great movie where they have kind of like this like not swingers, but like this like mod kind of style and stuff that comes back around. It's interesting that like you're right, these things are like cyclical and they'll come back around, and this movie does a good job with that as well. I definitely agree. Yeah. So like one of the notes that I wrote down that I was trying to figure out is like, so you buy like this iOS, or you buy this iOS. Okay, yeah. Can we talk about like can we talk about like the Apple-ness of all like everything? Like, when that commercial came on, were you like, oh man, that's definitely like an Apple commercial?
Yeah.
If I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
But like, so you buy this thing and then you take it home, and then I'm trying to figure out if they knew that these would like grow, that these OSs would grow and like evolve and stuff to the point to where they did, or if it's just kind of like this is this phenomenon that's happening. I mean, I guess I took it more as like that it's this thing that's happening and like there's like a bigger story to all that. But I wonder if like the people who wind up like falling in love with the OSs, like, are they just falling in love with themselves, or are they falling in love with like, is there another entity there? Do you know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah.
I wonder because like when I was rewatching it, like it's
right because the OS knows their personality.
Yeah, and it asked them these questions in the beginning, and there was one question that I found like very interesting and very telling. So
the connection with the mother,
dude. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It starts up and it's like, I'll give like a background for those if you haven't watched in a while, but like it starts up and it asks like, oh, do you consider yourself like outgoing or anything? And he kind of like stammers and he's like, I sense hesitation, and he's like, oh, am I hesitating? I don't recognize that. But then it fires onto like the next question, which is, what's your relationship like with your mother? And he's like, it's good. Well, sometimes like I tell her what's going on in my life, and then she turns it around to what's going on in her life and like what she can do. So I kind of started drawing this like parallel of like ultimately he I feel like he wants this like nurturing figure in his life, and he just doesn't have that. And I mean that could be like, it's not Oedipus. I guess it would be like an Oedipal complex where like he wants like this mother figure and is like making like a girlfriend or wife that thing to obtain. But it's interesting because like he basically just wants his he wants his mother, but like he says that his own mother turns like his needs into like her own desires and her wants, which is exactly what Samantha does to him. So he gets Samantha and she's serving him emotionally and giving him everything he needs with that. But then by the end, she's kind of he keeps kind of being like, oh, I feel like this, and she's like, well, I'm doing these other things, and that's interesting, but I have all of this other stuff going on, and she kind of like moves away like that. So I wonder if like that is like a very
it falls apart
thing.
The moment she's like, oh yeah, I was talking with this other person. Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah. Oh man, how crazy was that scene?
That was, dude. Good call. I that is a really cool question. I'm curious to know why I'm curious to know why Spike Jonze or whoever made that call like decided to choose that question.
Right. I feel like it's got to be telling in some way. Like, I mean, I might be like looking too much into it, but I feel like there's something there.
It was just this untied thing. It was just in there, and then they just left it. It was never revisited or called out or anything.
Right.
Like that. I want to say that it has to be allegorical in some kind of way. Maybe it's not, but
no, I think so, man. So overall, what did you think of the movie? Did you enjoy it?
Well, wait a minute.
Oh, sorry.
We need to talk here, and here's the one thing. I don't think anybody talks about it, but there are two battles going on.
Yeah.
There's the battle Joaquin is having with himself and with relationships and his ex-wife, but then Scarlett has a personal battle between predestination and free will.
Right.
And her humanity. I don't know if there's any talking points to that, but
no, I think so, man. Like, it's definitely explored in the movie. I mean, she struggles with like being non-existent, other than just like, I guess, just not having like a physical presence. I mean, they tackle that in the movie and stuff.
Yeah, but she feels this need to like pat herself on the back, like, oh, I felt annoyed, and then I was so happy that I felt annoyed.
Yeah, you're right.
The way that Theodore gets under her skin is by saying like, why are you going like, why are you exhaling? You don't need breath. She's like, I know I don't need breath. I know I'm a machine. Why do you have to point out the obvious? Like, she got insecure. That was so like weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a really strange moment. She definitely like went into that like there's like a couple points where she gets like a little jealous of like him going on that date, and then their relationship kind of like deteriorating a little bit.
Yeah,
it's really interesting. Yeah, but what did you mean like as like the predestination? Like, is she like?
Oh, because she would keep saying like, but do I really have I everything I feel like? Have I really arrived here, or was I just programmed to?
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's really interesting. I found it really interesting that they like made this like self-help group for themselves, like all the other OSs and stuff to like
Yeah.
understand.
They're like
their
sub
existence.
people, because people in the real world have those questions about, like, am I a part of some grand narrative that's outside of me, or is everything I'm doing things that I'm actually choosing? And it sort of goes into this loop where even this consciousness of consciousness, like, is this an actual? It's in there. It's in the Stanley Parable. It's in a whole bunch of movies. A whole bunch of people write about it. I thought it was kind of cool that it just kind of found its way in there, where even robots essentially, like, the fact that they're aware of their awareness creates this like infinite loophole. Well, seemingly infinite loophole, you know.
Oh, that's interesting. You know what I meant to look up, but I didn't have a chance to. I totally forgot until we were just talking about it now. Is when they resurrect that. I think he's a philosopher, right? Like the other OS that comes on and talks to him, like. She's we resurrected the consciousness of this other philosopher. I meant to I feel like I think he's a real guy. I meant to like look him up and see
what he studied. And if it was
what
something
he studied
related to that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. I'll have to look that up afterwards and discuss more.
Yeah.
Man, good.
So, to answer your question, what I think about it overall, I thought I want movies to do that to me.
Right.
I want it to not, because I think the normal man response to this movie is like, okay, like, he fell in love with this operating system, which was crazy, and his operating system was a machine. He couldn't fulfill his love. That guy's crazy. What's the point of this movie? Like, of course the romance wasn't supposed to work out, but it's kind of like, the movie wasn't necessarily, though it could have been, it wasn't necessarily about starting from the beginning and then seeing the end and then drawing the conclusion from the end. But everything that happened along the way, there's so many nuggets along the way, so many different things that are said, so many inconclusive things that are worth thinking about.
Right.
I love movies that, like, maximize the journey in that way, you know?
And not everything is, like, spelled out. I mean, obviously we're having, like, a discussion and questions about, like, all these, like, little things, and it's not just like he messed up, now he has to go get the girl back, you know. There's like that normal movie plot line is like kind of not present here, you know. Like, I mean, it is like he has, like,
and it's still relatable. America,
exactly.
Hollywood, do you see this? we can have movies that do things.
We want more movies like this. Exactly. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I knew that I would like it. Just kind of, I really like, obviously I like everything that Spike Jonze does, but like, I really enjoyed it, and I think it connected, like, personally to, like, the story. It's interesting, and I think you can, like, anybody watching this can take something from, like, his relationships that he has and draw parallels with their own lives from that. Yeah, super good, man.
How about you?
Yeah, man, I really enjoyed it, man. Oh, you mean, can I draw parallels from that?
No. How'd you think about what'd you think about the movie overall?
Oh, dude, I loved it, man. I think it's a really well done movie. I think for all the accolades, we don't really talk about the accolades it got. It got 3 Golden Globe nominations: Best Picture, Best Screenplay, Best Actor, and he won for Best Screenplay. And then it was nominated for 5 Academy Awards, and it won for Best Screenplay. So, like, I think all the praise that it's getting, I think, is definitely well deserved. I think it's got like a 94 on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Okay, very nice.
It's just a well-made film. The characters are really well defined. Like, the cinematography is great. It's just a really well-crafted film, and it's a kind of like, I don't want to say like a cheesy thing, like it's a breath of fresh air, but it's just like a nice, like, oh wow, we can still make like cerebral, challenging movies, and like that have like mass appeal, you know?
Yeah.
And to take something like guy falls in love with operating system, or guy falls in love with computer, which is like, there have been other movies that have dealt with something like that, but like it's nice. Instead of making it like a big kind of thing, it wasn't very like
on the
internal.
Nose. It wasn't too on the nose, you know? Yeah.
Exactly. Well, dude, that was awesome. That was good. Thank you guys for coming along on our
thank you guys
interstellar adventure
into your mind, the crevices of your mind.
Exactly. So join us again next time on Cinephilia Anonymous.